Arcane Season 2 just concluded, and with that comes a long phase of sadness and despair. So we're all fiending for any kind of Arcane content. I've seen other artists draw characters from Arcane or tackle the style and turn themselves into their own Arcane Sona. And to that, I say, I would also like to do that. So I ran to my desk to get started, but then I realized I had no idea where to start. Meaning, it was time to do some research and study the style. So I pulled reference from the show, really looking at characters I liked, and decided to draw Ekko. Building from basic shapes is something I know how to do, but most of the time, I'm the type of artist that just draws what I see, or I make it up. So for my study, I thought, what if I could just replicate it like that? No rules, no fundamentals, just my eyes. And it was looking pretty decent. Now, let's be honest, the sketch is a little rough, but it will look way better once we paint it. So let's start painting. Digitally, of course. First, I filled in the skin with flat color and went straight into the darkest colors on my palette to create hard shapes that will frame the face, so it was easier to see where the light should go and mimic how it was placed onto the skin. Some light was really hard and was one solid color, and some had a blue or pink undertone. So after studying Ekko, let me tell you what I learned. You can call this the Arcane Patty formula. First things first, I learned the style uses basic geometric shapes to create light and shadows. Okay, sounds easy. But the secret is that they use 3 kinds of edges to transition to another color or value. An example of that would be hard edges, soft edges, and a combination of both at the same time. Next, I learned how important the Asaro head actually is. If you've never seen it before, it's kind of like a blocky human head that's really simplified and used to study the face. I thought I could go rogue on this drawing of Ekko, do it my way, get the same results, but I found myself looking at the Asaro head while painting to make sure the cheeks, forehead, and jawline were more square, like the Arcane style. I should have drawn Ekko with that in mind, but I've learned from my mistakes. So with that in mind, let's create my very own Arcane Sona. I picked a few close-up pictures of myself to go off of, and I looked at the Asaro head while I sketched everything out. So this time, I had a different approach and a new plan. I decided to draw quick sketchy squares and rectangular shapes to map out all of the flat areas and drew triangles where there were curves or a deep space. That technique really helped me this time, and I could already see how I was going to move forward with everything else. With that being said, I couldn't find an Arcane character with an afro, but I think I knew enough from how they drew Mbessa and Mel's hair to just take that as an example and make it rounder and thicker to look like mine. Now that the sketch is finished, we can fill it in with flat color. During this process, I chose a reddish brown for my skin, gray brown for my hair, and this nice deep yellow for this cowl neck top that I drew. Oh, and I also put this simplified graffiti style bear in the background to complement the other colors. But now, we must paint!
Painting, painting, painting!
I started with the darkest parts like around my eyelids, my temples, and my neck, then went on to paint the light areas like the signature Arcane lights that always go right around the tear ducts. Simply perfection. Chef's kiss. But notice how I decided to keep my sketchy lines there while I paint. It was great because I could use the hard edge as starting point, then go in with a blending tool to blend out the parts I want to look soft. I also used a similar color palette from the Ekko Study that you saw me do, but made my skin a little bit more yellow with blue and green undertones to make it feel more alive. Alright, so let's be honest, I didn't really know how I was going to paint the hair because most of the brown characters in Arcane have protective styles like braids, locks, and updos, so I didn't have much to go off of. I was doing a lot of thinking, then I remembered there was this one character that I saw and their hair looked like this. No spoilers, just the hair. So my hair should probably be a combination of theirs and Mel's, which was perfect. I used a 4B compressed brush in Procreate to make my hair look thick and textured, but I also added some loose curls with a solid brush to make it more wild. I'm going for a Zon kind of look, so this can be messy. Now we're getting into painting my top, and it was a dream. I used Lest as a reference to see how Arcane fabric folds and what the lighting situation would be like, and it really helped. I already paint fabric a lot, so I understand how it falls, but I also had to stay true to the style, which meant painting hard edges over the folds to show that the fabric was curving and folding over itself. So keep that in mind when you're drawing fabric. Okay, so we're almost done, but my last thing to paint is my neck pins and my gold ear. Keep it simple. You don't have to do a bunch of colors when you're painting gold. I would say take one color and make about 4 different shades of it. For example, I like the look of a cool tone gold like you would see on a character like Mbessa. So my flat color is a greenish gray, and the shades that follow are either lighter or darker. And you also want to apply the same hard and soft edge technique with crispy geometric shapes. After all that hard work, all I needed to do was erase my sketchy lines and clean up some wobbly edges. And with that, this is how it turned out. So if you made it to the end of this lovely video, thanks for watching. I loved every second of Arcane, so of course I had to put my skills to the test to recreate something that was already so amazing. But I also hope some of these tips and tricks help you draw your own Arcane Sonas, because I want to see more, personally. But again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.